A very good morning, dear students. Welcome back to um, the session on Gundagra's Tindram. So, in the first two classes, we had an introduction on Gundagras and also to Tindram, and I also hope you all have watched the movie Tindram because the movie covers around 75% of the novel. So, now we are familiar with the entire novel. As I said in one of the classes, the novel is divided into three different books. And book one introduces almost all the major characters of the novel. And book one is from chapters 1 to 16, book 2 from chapters 17 to 34, and book 3 is from chapters 35 to 46. So, book one covers all these major characters. I hope after watching the movie, you're familiar with the important characters: Oscar Matzerath, Bruno Munsterberg, Anna Bronsky, Joseph Koliacek, Agnes Koliacek, Jan Bronsky, Alfred Matzerath, Sigismund Marcus, and two friends of Oscar who are not actually mentioned in the film. Again, Bruno is another character who is not mentioned in the film. But these are the important characters that we are going to see in book 1 of Tindram. So, chapter 1 of the book is titled The White Skirt. And this particular chapter introduces Oscar's grandparents. I hope you remember the very first scene of the movie, that is chapter 1. So, in chapter 1, Oscar is presented as a smart sounding blue eyed guy who was living in a mental asylum. And the reason for his stay in the mental asylum is not known, but he has plans to tell his life story. So, Oscar has got a keeper there in the mental asylum. He is Bruno Matzerath. Bruno is a person with great talent for tying knots, and he admires his own knots that once it is finished, he turns them into statues. And while at mental asylum, Oscar is visited by many people, but Oscar is not at all happy with these people who are visiting him. And one day he asks Bruno to give him a stack of paper so that he can write his life story. And his life story begins long before he was born. And that is where he actually introduces us to his grandmother, Anna Bronsky, how she used to sit in her backyard in her four-layered skirt roasting potatoes. And one day, while she was roasting potatoes, she saw two tall, skinny people chasing a short person. And this short person reaches her first. He was so desperate that Anna, hides him under her skirt. And that man is saved. And hope you remember that particular scene and what happens during this hiding. So the cops are gone, and the man is out of Anna's skirts. This is the first chapter. Now, in chapter 2, Under the Raft, again it is about how his grandparents and his mother lived. So, the man who's his grandfather, his name is Joseph Koliacek. And Joseph Koliacek and Anna Bronsky, now she is Anna Koliacek, they lived together. Anna got pregnant while he was hiding under her skirts. And the child is Oscar's mother, Agnes. And Oscar's mother, Agnes, she actually denies this particular fact regarding how she was actually conceived. But these people, they three, his grandparents and his mother, they lived together for almost uh, 2 years. That is, when his mother was 1 year old, his father was again, he was still um, being chased by the police, and he was actually staying under the name Joseph Ranka. So Joseph Ranka was eventually, identified by the police as Joseph Kolyachik, and they came in search of him. So he dived into the river. And there are different versions of his grandfather's story regarding, one is that his grandfather escaped to America, and he is a millionaire there now under the name um, Joe Kolchik. And some other people say that he died while he was diving into the river then itself. So that is about chapter 2. It is all about his grandparents. It is in chapter 3, which is titled More Than Light Bulb, that we witness the birth of Oscar Matzerath. And Oscar tells that he uses this tin drum in order to summon up his memories. So he describes two of his friends, Klepp and Whitler. Uh, Klepp and Whitler, and how they used to visit him in the mental asylum, and how they used to indulge in jogs, and how once, while they were talking about his grandfather, how one of his friends asked him to go back to his grandfather, who's a millionaire. So he asked him to go to his grandfather once he is out of the mental asylum. So, as I said, this drumming actually brings back to him all sorts of memories. And there is another interesting thing that Oscar does once his friends leave him. He asks Bruno to open the windows to get their stink out of his room. So again, he is back to his memory, and he, talks about what actually happened to his grandmother after the disappearance of his grandfather. So his grandmother Anna, she married Joseph's brother Grigor, and they lived together. They had a shop also, and eventually Grigor dies from flu, and the family shop starts earning more money too. And it was in this particular chapter again we are introduced to his uncle Jan Bronsky. Bronsky is his mother's cousin. So Jan Bronsky also moves into the house. He is described as a very thin young man with huge blue eyes, and his mother Agnes and Jan Bronsky, they were in love also. And Agnes, that time she was a nurse, and um, it was a time of First World War, and every boy had to join the army. But Jan Bronsky was rejected because of his he was so skinny a person. And during the war, Agnes meets a young German man named Alfred Matzerath. And Alfred Matzerath was a wounded soldier. So there starts their romance. They decide to get married, and it was then that Jan Bronsky decides to leave the house also. So now they are married, and Jan also, he got engaged, and he married a girl by name Hedwig. So Agnes and Alfred, they are running a grocery store, and Agnes, while she runs the store, Alfred is early he was a salesman. He quit that job, and now he is with Agnes running the store, and he's also a great cook. Now we are back to Oscar, and he's playing the drum, and he's trying to remember the bulbs in his family bedroom when he was phoned. He's trying to remember whether the bulbs were 40 watts or 60 watts. And this is another important detail regarding the watts of the bulbs in his family room when he was born, because according to him, when he was born, he saw, a moth flying between these two bulbs, and it is the sound of this moth actually that first made him obsessed with drumming. So that is again significant, and that is why again the chapter is titled More Than Light Bulb. That is the first reason for his obsession with his tin drum. So, seeing that Oscar was a boy, Alfred said that he was glad that there would be someone to take over the shop. But Agnes, on the other hand, she said that she would gift Oscar with a tin drum on his third birthday. So Oscar decided to opt for the second one, that is for the tin drum. And he says that it was the thought of getting a tin drum that actually kept him from crawling back into his mother's womb. Now, that was about his birth and his obsession with Tyndrum. Now, chapter 4 is titled The Photo Album, and this particular photo album actually guides him through the past. And he discusses, or he presents to us a few photos. The first one is that of him and his friend Cleb together. And he remembers how these two people, they used to go out for movies and then to the um, passport office in order to get their passport photos taken. So while taking these photos, also he compares these photos with that of the portrait photo of his grandfather, Alfred Koliachik, and he describes this particular portrait of Alfred Koliachik in detail and says that all the other photos are nothing compared to this dignified photo of his grandfather. Then again, he talks about another photo of his father, his mother, and his uncle together. His mother is sitting in a chair, and his uncle and his father are standing behind her. And another photo of them playing cards. They are playing a three-person card game called Scat. That particular photo is also discussed, and that actually shows the kind of relationship that they are in. And then Oscar then presents to us another photo of him when he was just 8 months old. He is lying naked on a rug, and he says that it is a totally a normal photo. The only thing that was missing in that photo is a tin drum, which was promised at his birth. Then there is another photo that is Oscar with his tin drum when he was 3 years old. And in this particular photo, Oscar looks so confident and ready to meet the world. So that's about this particular chapter. Chapter 4, the photo album. Then comes chapter 5, titled Glass, Glass, Little Glass. So, Oscar got this tin drum at the age of on his third birthday, and he decides on that particular day itself, decides to stop growing because he doesn't want to spend his life going to doctors in order to figure out why he is not actually growing up. So he one day he finds a plant and he throws himself down to the basement steps, and he does this in order to give the grown-ups a reason for his failure to grow. And later he was carried into the living room by his friend Greff, by his father's friend Greff. And Anna, we see that she's slapping Alfred for leaving the basement door open. I hope you remember that particular scene where he falls from the top to the basement, and how he hurts himself. So Anna never forgives Agnes never forgives Alfred for forgetting about the dot. So now Oscar has stopped growing, and he decides that he needs to play his drum as a way of distancing himself from the adult world. So he and it is not just the drumming, he also has this habit of screaming loudly, and he has got a shrill voice, and this shrill voice of Oscar has the ability to shatter glasses into pieces. And this is something that we again see in this particular chapter, how he shatters glasses into pieces. And for all the windows that are broken in the neighborhood, he is blamed. um, and he also tells a story of the first time he ever tried this ability to shatter glass. It happened one day, a few weeks after his third birthday, while he was playing around with the drum, and it had a hole also. The tantrum had a hole, and his father was extra careful that since Oscar had fallen down the stairs, he would hurt his finger since this tantrum has got a hole in it. So Alfred tried to take away this drum away, and then Oscar let out a scream that shattered a bunch of glasses in the family home. That was the first time that he actually tried this. So from this point on onwards, no one actually tried to take Tintram away from Oscar. And yeah, um, again, there is one particular scene that we where we see that everyone is there sitting around the table and they are playing cards, and how Oscar, hides under this table, and he sees that Mr. Bronsky has slipped his shoes off and he's doing something with his mother, Agnes. So there is still something going on between the two of them. So there is also another scene where we see that Oscar is taken to their family doctor, Dr. Hollatz, who's doing the routine checkup and explains to Agnes that Oscar won't grow anymore. And he also tries to take Oscar's drum, and he lets out this scream that shatters all the jars full of specimens in his office. But he was quite happy with that he wrote an article about this unique voice with the ability to shatter glass, and this was published in a well-known medical journal too. And Oscar is now pretty sad that he doesn't have that power to shatter glasses anymore while in the mental asylum. And in chapter 6, the schedule, he's in the kindergarten with his cousin Stefan Bronsky. Stefan Bronsky is a Polish person, and he is teased by the other people, other kids in the kindergarten. And since Brodsky had to leave the kindergarten, Oscar also leaves the kindergarten. And then again, Oscar had to join another school. But on the very first day itself, the teacher tries to take his tantrum. Then he lets out this scream which shatters the glasses over there. And the only thing that he has in his memory as a proof regarding the first day at school is a photograph which was taken soon after his screaming that bears the words, "My first day at school." Now, then comes chapter 7, Rasputin and the ABCs. Now, Oscar can't go to schools, so his parents have decided to give him schooling through Alfred's friend's wife, Frau Greff. Frau considers, not just Frau, everyone considers Oscar as a slow, dim-witted kind of a person who's not intellectual at all. So the life of Greff is presented in this particular chapter. Greff is so obsessed with his business and also his Boy Scouts. He is a troop leader of the Boy Scout that he pays no attention to his wife. And there is also, a suggestion by Oscar that he is sexually attracted. He, in the sense, Greff is sexually attracted to the boys in the troop. So Frau Greff is alone all day, and she has nothing to do at all. And immediately she becomes energized when Oscar starts hanging out around her. She loves to dress up Oscar like a baby, and Oscar also, the only intention in his mind while he was with Frau Greff was to read. So he learns how to read. He also tears pages out of Frau's book and takes them to home to read in secret. And one day, she comes across a book about the Russian seducer Rasputin. And there are many naughty descriptions about sex in this particular book, Rasputin, which she loves to read aloud. and she does it in front of Oscar because she thinks that Oscar doesn't understand what she is talking about. And one day, uh, her Oscar's mother also joined Frogriff in reading Rasputin. They both together they both read Rasputin, and Oscar was all the while listening to them, but they considered him as a slow, dim-witted person who doesn't understand a word. Then, chapter 2, title Long Distance Song Effects from the Stock Term. This particular chapter, again, talks about a few tortures the other neighboring kids inflicted on Oscar, how he was forced to drink the other kids' urine when he was young. And he also relates to how his mother and his uncle, they would meet every Thursday in the town, and Oscar was kept in the custody of a man named Sigismund Marcus, and how Oscar's mother would buy him his new drum from Marcus' shop. And I hope you remember the entire thing that happens there. One day, Oscar was kept in the custody of Marcus, but Oscar somehow managed to get out of the shop, and he climbed the stairs of the tower, looked around the city of Danzig, and he let out this scream for fun, which shattered all the windows at a building called the Stad Theater. And it was the first time that he shattered glass from a long distance, and that is the reason why this particular chapter is titled Long Distance. So the entire crowd went panic because of this shattering of the glass pieces, and Oscar seems pretty proud of himself, and he remembers how the following day's newspaper explained this particular event as talking about some invisible comic rays from space. So this happens on every Thursday. He is taken by his mother to Marcus' shop, and she goes with Jan Bronsky. And there is also one particular scene where he finds that Bronsky is begging Agnes to be his mistress. So all these things are happening along with the war, and with the war there is anti-Polish settlement in the country, especially in the city of Danzig. Then we have chapter 9, that is titled The Grandstand. Again, I hope you remember this particular scene when the army was playing in the grandstand, playing in the ground. Oscar takes his tantrum. He, hides himself beneath the grandstand, and he plays along with the army. But while the army is, playing their song, Oscar plays the music of he start playing to some pop music, and the entire crowd breaks into a dance. So hope you remember that particular scene. And the Nazi guards, they search through the grandstands looking for the person who sabotaged the entire band, and since Oscar was so small, they couldn't find him. And again, Oscar claims that he would pull this trick many times in the next years without being ever caught. And here also we see Oscar is being taken to the show of Tom Thumb by his parents. And this particular story of Tom Thumb is about a little person who is no bigger than a human thumb. Then and while watching the show, he actually identifies himself with Tom Thumb, who has the ability to do great things despite his miniature size. And then he's also taken to a concert called Opera in the Woods, then to a circus by his parents, where he meets this person of the circus, that is Bebra. And we'll hope you remember Bebra, that small man who runs the circus. Yeah, that's about chapter 9, the grandstand. Then chapter 10, shop windows. Again, this is something that is not there in the film. how Oscar used his voice to cut holes in the windows of shops in order to steal stuffs that he wants. And one day he also, while walking with his uncle Jan Bronsky, he, uh, why- he makes such a hole in front of a jewelry store, and he, gives Jan the opportunity to steal a necklace so that Jan could give that to his mother. So he steals necklace, so after watching, I mean, after stealing the necklace, that Ian realizes that that was something that Oscar completely manipulated. So this necklace was given to Agnes, and later Oscar tells us that after the war, the necklace was traded for cigarettes and a briefcase. Now in chapter 11, uh, Oscar is being taken to the church by his mother. He sees the statue of the crucifix, and uh, he feels that his this particular statue of Jesus is so similar to that of his uncle Jan Bronsky. So the thin face and the blue eyes of Jesus make him look a lot like his uncle Jan Bronsky. Then another statue is that of Jesus in Mary's lap. So he was quite interested in this particular statue, and he started to think that the baby Jesus is himself. So he plays a drumstick and the tindrum in Jesus' lap and his hand. And hope you remember the scene in the movie how the priest catches Oscar near the statue and hits him. Though Oscar feels hurt, he doesn't scream because he doesn't want to ruin the stained glass windows of the church. And from this particular moment onwards, he has decided not to, go forward with religion. His mother is a Catholic and his father is a Protestant, so he won't have anything to do with Catholicism or with Jesus. That was something that he decided soon after this moment, because no miracle actually happened. In chapter 2, that is titled Good Friday Fair, we find Jan Bronsky, Alfred, Agnes, and Oscar in the beach. The four are there, and there they actually see a man, sitting on a rock holding a big thick rope. He's going into the sea and then disappears. So what this man is doing at first not known to them, but later they see that this man is taking the rope, and it is a horse's head at the end, and from the horse's head comes eels. So he was trying to catch fish in this such a manner, and Agnes, she feels so sick seeing this, but Alfred, he goes to the man and he buys a few eels to cook. So what happens afterwards? I hope you remember again that particular scene. Agnes, she when Alfred cooks the uh, eel, she says she won't be eating, but later she eats, and what happens afterwards is known to us. Then again, in chapter 3, which is titled Tapering Toward the Food, we see Agnes is unable to forget that particular encounter with the eels at the beach, and for the next few days, she couldn't even bear the sight of fish. But after a few days, she has started eating fish again, and that too in an obsessive manner. And this is seen as a medical condition called fish poisoning. And though Alfred and Jan Bronsky, they tried to stop her, she wouldn't listen to them, and at the end, she dies also after eating too much of fish. And it is before her death that the family realized that she was 3 months pregnant. And that's about chapter 13, Tapering Toward the Food, where we see the death of Oscar's mother. And I hope you remember the funeral scene again, where this man, Sigismund Marcus, the toy keeper, when he comes, he was not actually allowed to enter the funeral scene because he is a Jewish person. And Yeah. And after the death of his mother, Oscar was very much devastated that he had no one to comfort him. That is something that he remembers while in the mental asylum, that there is no one around to comfort him. Chapter 14 is Herbert uh, Trachansky is back, and this particular chapter introduces us to Mr. Herbert. And Herbert is the son of Mr. and Mrs. Trachansky, and he first worked as a waiter who has got many scars on his back, and he shows these scars which are results of certain fights he had at the restaurant. He shows all these scars to Oscar also. He is quite amazed to see all the scars. And later, he also says that while breaking up a fight one night, he accidentally killed a man too, but he is acquitted at his trial. Then chapter 15 is again about story. Herbert joined as watchman in a naval museum, and this naval museum is home to a figurehead. A figurehead is a kind of a carving of a half naked woman in a ship called Niobe. Niobe is the name of the ship. In that ship, there is this particular carving of a half naked woman, and there are many rumors regarding this particular ship and the figurehead of this half naked woman, that it brought many deaths as one such rumor. So a, a week or after 1 or 2 weeks, nothing happened, but a few days after that, it was found that police cars and ambulances rolled up to the museum, and Herbert was found dead. And it was later revealed that Herbert tried to had sex with this statue of this half naked woman, and that is how he actually died. Then chapters 16 is about it is titled Faith, Hope, and Love. And this particular chapter has a completely weird structure to it, because Oscar starts this particular chapter with a line: once upon a time there was a musician named Maine, and he played the trumpet too beautifully for words. And this particular line is repeated by giving the entire chapter a kind of a hypnotic feel. um, so he in this chapter he recounts a story of a trumpeter by name Maine, who was deeply affected by the death of Herbert. And during the funeral of Herbert, there was also another person who came, that is Crazy Leo. And Crazy Leo is someone whom everyone in Danzig is familiar with, because he has a magical way of show up at every funeral in the city. So Oscar tells us the story of Maine, the musician, and it was. I mean, after the funeral of Herbert, Maine he killed four cats that he had, and he also tried to dispose the bodies of these cats secretly, but he was soon caught, and the animal protection agency, they it was reported to the animal protection agency by some of his neighbors, and he lost his rank in the Nazi army also. So there is an irony here, like killing cats resulted in losing one's title, but killing human beings, not at all. So after this particular incident, Maine becomes totally sober, and he decides not to touch alcohol again. And later, on that particular day itself, Oscar sees that his father has shut down his shop, and many shops and houses are being attacked by people. So it was later revealed that not all the houses are being attacked, but only the houses of Jewish people. So this particular thing, I mean, this event took place between November 9th and 10th of 1932. That was a moment when the Nazi army of Germany told its town officials to go out and destroy the Jewish homes and their property. And this particular thing that Oscar is witnessing is known as Kristallnacht. I don't know how to pronounce it. The translation is the night of broken glass. So soon, the moment he realized that Jewish people's house and toys are being destroyed by the army, he runs to the shop, the toy shop owned by Marcus. So when he gets there, he sees that the shop is destroyed and the soldiers are there everywhere, and Mr. Marcus has committed suicide inside the house. I mean, inside the office. And but the actual reason for Oscar's running to the shop is not to see the safety of Mr. Marcus, but to see whether he could get a tin drum from the shop. So he gets a tin drum from the shop also. So when this particular chapter closes, also compares the German people's belief in Hitler to that of a little kid's belief in Santa Claus, because according to him, both these are myths. In both these are myths that get a bunch of people killed for no reason. And when he says this, he sounds so emotionless and so cold also. And this is how book one of Tindrum ends. So almost all these chapters are actually covered in the film, except a few incidents and a few characters. So with this, I wish to uh, end today's class. We'll deal with the rest of the chapters in the coming classes. Thank you.